She had but one hurdle left: cleanse the town of the necromancer's influence and avenge her friends. Her god commanded it, and at this point, being the only surviving member of her party, she'd rather die carrying out the wishes of a glorious power than to live alone. Gripping her sword tight, she shoved open the gates and stepped inside the Whispering Manor. The necromancer had set up a security system. Dozens of crawling claws scuttled across the walls and the floors of the mansion's halls, searching for any signs of unwanted visitors. Anya smirked. Crawling claws are CR0 creature with an AC of 12 and move and climb speeds of 20 feet. They benefit from poison immunity, as well as immunity to turn undead effects. Their only attack is a 3 damage slash attack, and just in case you thought they were too strong, they're blind outside of their 30 feet of blind sight. But in numbers, like any low-level creature, they can prove to be quite a nuisance. She was able to get about 50 feet down the hall before the claws began to dogpile her, grabbing at her legs, scaling her back, and slashing at any exposed skin they could find. Her armor ate a lot of the scratching, but eventually, she stopped dead in her tracks, and with one quick pratfall, crushed at least 8 of the claws accosting her. Crawling claws only have 2 hit points. With one last slam against the wall, she'd successfully dealt with the most immediate pests. But in crushing these claws against the wall, she accidentally summoned the necromancer's next layer of security. From the end of the hall, 6 green lights appeared, swaying slightly before stepping into the light from the window. Ghouls. 3 of them, shambling down the hall towards her. Ghouls are a CR1 creature. With 22 hit points and 12 AC, they are immune to poison damage and the charmed, exhausted, and poisoned conditions. Their glowing green eyes denote their dark vision, and their gnashing teeth provide them with a bite attack of 9 average damage. Their combat claim to fame would have to be their claws, however. Dealing an initial 7 average damage, they force the victim to succeed a DC 10 con save or become paralyzed for 1 minute. Needless to say, in groups, this proves to be lethal.
The Remaker said not to let anyone in. You're as good as dead, human.
Anya was tough. She easily freed the first ghoul's head from its body, but when the next 2 slashed at her, she began to panic, barely resisting the paralyzation. But eventually, the next one fell, and so did the remaining one not soon after. But in the battle, she caught a glimpse of 6 more sets of eyes in the darkness at the end of the hallway. She kicked the last ghoul off her blade and darted around the corner to hide. Ghouls aren't brain dead like many would believe, but they aren't particularly bright either. With quick thinking on Anya's part and poor perception checks on the ghouls, she was able to lose them in the halls and begin her way through the antechamber surrounding the central atrium. She snuck around the ghouls patrolling the area and slipped into the necromancer's chamber. Suboptimal stealth roll versus decently high passive perception, the necromancer noticed her almost immediately. Anya! I was wondering when I'd see you again. So good of you to join us. The necromancer began to scramble around his desk, retrieving supplies and affixing them together mid-sentence. Anya said nothing. Completely consumed with rage upon seeing him, she charged at him. The necromancer smirked, driving a hand forward at the corpse of the beholder on his operation table. It shot to life, ascending into the air and firing off blasts of eye beams into all corners of the rooms. Anya was lucky, but with a gasp, the necromancer realized one had clipped him in his side as his skin and clothes began to turn to ash. He fled, leaving the Beholder Zombie to do battle with Anya. Beholder Zombies are a CR5 creature. With 15 AC and 93 hit points, they benefit from the Undead Fortitude feature, allowing them to outlive their projected hit point range. They have eye attacks, like normal Beholders, but many of their eye stalks have decayed, leaving them with only 4 beams and 1 beam attack per turn. Left with the Paralyzation Ray, Fear Ray, Enervation Ray, and Disintegration Ray, they're still a formidable opponent, and Anya knew it. Dodging the monster's beams, she would dip in just long enough to get a few slashes off before ducking back out to hide behind a pillar. The fight dragged on, but eventually, the ex-beholder was left nothing more than a levitating sphere of dripping meat. Anya had severed all of its remaining eye stalks at the cost of her left arm. With just enough strength to continue on, she pressed through to the final chamber to find the necromancer, weakly preparing a teleportation circle. You won't take me, Paladin. You've seen what I'm capable of. You've seen my creations, and you think. Hold person. Failed save, the necromancer froze up, his eyes going wide and his breathing turning even more erratic. Anya limped towards him, sword dragging. For a moment, the necromancer thought he saw, shimmering behind the paladin, the divine form of one of the gods he renounced. Wait, I was wrong, Anya. Anya didn't stop, 30 feet to the necromancer. Free me and we can talk about this. 10 feet. Anya, if you kill me, you're just as bad as... Did I go a little nuts with this outro? Who cares? I'd like to give a special thanks to all my patrons. Big news, my Patreon has now been collapsed into a single tier deal. For just $2 a month, you get everything that I put there. So go pledge or follow me on Twitter for more art.